it is something that we have to take into account when having this kind of conversation, which is why I think the real solution to this loss of talent is to build up talent from within their roster.
Oh, that's a good one. New Japan building up new talent. Oh, that's classic. Novi must have just started watching New Japan last year with that take. Hey, so recently I did a video called Why Fans Stop Watching AEW. It performed really well, so I figured I want to keep the series going where I, find some videos on the pro wrestling interwebs that, catch my eye that I can, react to, give my little commentary on. And I saw this video about a few days ago and I had it saved on my PC to check out. And the video is by a smaller YouTuber named Novi. Never heard of this guy, but I was a small YouTuber one time, so I'm definitely down to give small YouTubers some limelight. This video is called How to Save New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, if you guys don't know this about me, when I first started really getting into doing wrestling YouTube content on a consistent basis, it was around 2017, 2018. And 2018 was the year I started watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. And that was really all due in part to Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega being announced for Wrestle Kingdom 12. Without that, I don't think I would actually start reviewing and watching New Japan. But I started watching New Japan in 2018. I figured if I'm watching it, I'm also cover it. So I started reviewing New Japan Pro Wrestling that year. I actually became a pretty prominent figure, at least in the Puro community, for my New Japan reviews. I got some little clout on Reddit, some little clout on Twitter, you know what I mean? But at that point in time, I still had 2, 3, 4,000 subscribers. I was still relatively small, very, very small. But yeah, for 2 straight years from 2018 to 2020, I created New Japan content. Now, you probably ask yourself, Sooplex, why did you stop creating New Japan content? Well, that goes back to a little story that some of you may remember if you've been following me for a while. Some of you may not know this, but in 2020, TV Asahi sent me 17 copyright strikes, and got my channel deleted. Now, this was what I like to call the New Japan TV Asahi apocalypse. There were a lot of other wrestling YouTube channels that had their accounts deleted, their accounts taken down. TV Asahi was on a rampage with taking down channels. I was one of them. However, as you guys know, I got my channel back. That's why we're at where we're at right now. That really took a lot out of me as a creator, and it took a lot out of me as a fan of New Japan, because number one, I was just too petrified to touch New Japan's product in terms of reviewing it, and two, admittedly there was some resentment there, because it's I watch a promotion, I'm a big fan, I do all this content for you guys, and I get repaid by having my content taken down. I thought that was kind of full of shit for them. So, I had some resentment. I didn't want to cover them anymore. And I guess because over time I stopped covering them and I stopped watching them, it just became really hard to get back into the product. And we're in 2024 now. I don't really watch New Japan much anymore. I tune in for the big shows, but that's really about it. And I think largely now it's just the product is not appealing to me at all. First of all, a lot of the main stars that I started watching New Japan Pro Wrestling for in 2018 are no longer in New Japan. They're all in AEW. Okada, AEW. Ospreay, AEW. Omega, AEW. Jericho, AEW. Moxley, when he was hot, AEW. Top 5 guys New Japan had on their roster, they're all in AEW now. So it's in New Japan, they're very, very I'm gonna hold my thoughts. I don't want to get too deep into everything here, because I don't want to say all the talking points he might bring up. But Novi, my good fellow, how do you save New Japan
Hello,
Pro
everybody.
Wrestling?
My name's Novi and welcome back to the channel. If you don't already know, New Japan Pro Wrestling is a Japanese wrestling promotion with a long and storied history going back over 50 years.
Yes,
They're
sir.
mostly known for an approach to stories vastly different from the way we do it in the States, and of course, some incredible in-ring wrestling. It's long been known that if you tune into a big New Japan show, it's likely that you're going to see a match that's worth putting on your spreadsheet. Well, actually, that era might just be in the past, judging by how this year has gone.
Hold on, wait a minute. He said putting on your spreadsheet. You want to know what's funny? I notice a lot of Puro Wrestling fans do this. A lot of Puro Wrestling fans have a spreadsheet of like Japanese wrestling matches that they rate from like 1 to 5 stars, and they tend to always do like their ratings on Twitter. If you guys are Japanese wrestling fans watching this, you probably noticed already, but if you guys want to find actual Japanese wrestling fans, 2 places to go: Twitter and Reddit. You're not going to find too many of them on YouTube. You're not going to find too many of them on TikTok or Instagram. Twitter and Reddit is where you find your Japanese wrestling fans. Trust me.
Video.
And if you want to find hardcores, you definitely go to Reddit.
Exciting things they can.
They're real hardcore though, so just they be a little scary sometimes. I ain't gonna hold you.
Do for seemingly no reason.
They'll come at your throat if you have the wrong take.
Which is why in today's video, I want to try and save New Japan Pro Wrestling from themselves more so than anything else.
Yeah, that's a true statement. Save them from themselves, because let me tell you, one thing about New Japan, they are really good at shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to just either overbooking matches or underbooking storylines. I think that's the best way to summarize it. But let's get into what he's about to say.
We'll jump right into how I'm going to do that. But first, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for weekly live streams every single Wednesday before Dynamite, and new videos just like these every Saturday.
All right, cheap pop for Novi.
Just talking grabs. First and foremost, we have to find a way to deal with the loss of star power they're facing and are about to face. The departures of Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada are big ones.
Yep, as I just talked about, 2 big talent that I watched New Japan for, no longer in AEW. And that's not to say they can never go back to AEW, go back to New Japan and wrestle here and there, because, AEW and New Japan have a working relationship. But they're no longer full-time under New Japan. And we haven't seen them in New Japan since they had their last match, so.
And are pressing matters right now. But Tetsuya Naito and Hiroshi Tanahashi are seemingly about to wrap things up. And even if they don't, they simply just can't go like they used to. I know a lot of people's solution to this issue is going to be signing new talent. And while I agree with the premise, I don't really think it's the answer given Bushiroad's current financials. While we're on the financial subject too, I think I need to break some news to you guys. I'm not too sure if many of you have heard, and I do want you to sit down because this is big and...
Oh man, what's it gonna be? What's he about to tell us?
It might be too much to handle. But guys, the yen, it's down right now. In all seriousness though, meme or not, it is something that we have to take into account when having this kind of conversation, which is why I think the real solution to this loss of talent is to build up talent from within their roster.
Oh, that's a good one. New Japan building up new talent. Oh, that's classic. Novi must have just started watching New Japan last year with that take, man. One thing about New Japan, let me tell you something. It's gonna take them all their main talent getting injured or leaving for them to build up new talent. New Japan, they choose like a handful of people. That's their main guys for like the next 5-10 years. Those guys ain't leaving that division. They're not leaving the world title scene. And if they do, best believe somebody else going into the world title scene, they're not winning the world title. I know this. I know this. I watch New Japan. Think about it. Okada, 2018, he was the world champion. From 2018 to 2020, the world champions were Okada, Omega, Tanahashi. Who was that? Tanahashi. After Tanahashi didn't hold it for that long. So who did Tanahashi drop it to? I think Tanahashi dropped it to Jay White, right? And then Jay White dropped the title to... Going off of just straight memory here, Jay White, who did Jay White drop the title to? I think he dropped the title to Naito? Or did he drop it back to Okada? Put it this way. In the time I watched New Japan, the championships have revolved around Okada, Tanahashi, Kenny Omega, Jay White, Tetsuya Naito. Those were like really the 5 core guys. And then as far as like the newer guys that came in and kind of, had a little bit of a run, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, who was really on and off with his runs, I don't know if I said Naito already, but obviously Naito and one more. And then at last is Sonata. Sonata was very, very late in the game with his run, and I think we didn't really get to see of all of what Shingo could do. And then obviously Evil, he had a token run. He had a 1.5 month long raid. But like I said, one thing about New Japan, they're gonna keep using the same guys over and over again. They're gonna run them into the ground until they absolutely have to have someone new in the main event scene. They're gonna use the guys they have. So that's why I laughed when he said build up new talent. But let's continue on.
Right now. Even in their current state, New Japan still has a plethora of young or young-ish talent just sitting there waiting for their opportunity. Whether or not they'll be able to deliver on those chances can
That's the thing. A lot of them can. New Japan doesn't give them the opportunity to. That's the issue.
and vary, but they're young and you have to
Think about Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu Takahashi came into New Japan Pro Wrestling in like 2000, like what? 17 is I think when he came back from Excursion. Hiromu Takahashi has been IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, I swear to God, maybe 6 times since he came back, and has won the Super J Cup. Not Super J Cup. The Best of the Super Juniors 4 times. 4 times. He's won the Best of the Super Juniors like 3 times consecutively, which I think is fucking ridiculous. But he won the Best of the Super Juniors 4 times since he came back 7 years ago. That's ridiculous. You have the same guy in your junior division for 7. Why not bring him up to the main? I feel like fans, especially Puro fans, have been begging to put Hiromu Takahashi in the heavyweight division because he's done everything in the junior division already. How many more times can you win the same tournament and go to the co-main event of Wrestle Kingdom? How many more times can you do that? And it's not like it's against different people. It's against El Desperado. It's against what's the blue hair guy's name that I keep on forgetting? Master Wato. You know what I mean? It's against the same people. It's not even that many different people he goes up against. So Hiromu easily can go to the heavyweight class, and that would be something different. That would be a way to spice it up, but they never do that. They never do that. Junior guys tend to always stay in the junior division where they have a glass ceiling because obviously the junior heavyweight championship never main event shows where the heavyweight championship is underneath it. Never happens. It never happens. Except Best of the Super Juniors finals, if they're lucky. And that has its own tournament, so
keep giving them the chances so that they can learn from them and get to a point where they can consistently deliver. We do see this already with the likes of Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji, Ren Narita, Yuya Uemura.
I will give them this. The 4 young lions that we just listed off, they all started around the time I started watching New Japan. And now that they're back from Excursion, they're doing stuff with them. And I'm very happy to see that. They haven't gone all in on either one of those 4 yet. Yuya, I'll be honest, I don't know what to do with Yuya right now because I'm not watching the product. Ren Narita, I absolutely detest that he's in House of Torture because that's like the worst faction to be in. They water down your moveset, strip away all good qualities away from you, and then, they just plague your matches with interferences. Shota Umino, he's a really good case where it seems like they want to do something with him, but it's not the time yet. Like, you keep putting him in these big-time matches against Will Ospreay, against Jon Moxley, and then he never wins. So hopefully Shota Umino doesn't get stuck in the New Japan loop where he's almost there. I hope he doesn't get stuck in the Goto. That's the thing. He doesn't get stuck in the Hiroki Goto position. Because if you guys watch New Japan, you know what I mean. Hiroki Goto is that one guy in New Japan, great wrestler, has all the tools to be a top guy. You could throw him in a main event whenever, but he never, ever, ever wins the world title. Like, he has never won the world title. I don't even know if he's been IC champion before or not. Hiroki Goto is just the guy they have in the toolbox. They can throw in there whenever he wants, but he never comes close to winning the world title, and it's depressing. So, I just hope that Shota's not put in that spot. And so far, he's doing well enough to be in the title scene. He's just not winning it. And you know what I mean? I know he just came back like a year ago, so I'm not expecting him to win it. Now, Shota, excuse me, I'm speaking too fast here. Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji is an interesting one because he's the guy I feel like they keep pushing heavily, but they still don't do anything. They're still not executing with. He done had like 3 world title matches and lost all 3 of them. Especially considering, and I still think to this day they should have just pulled the trigger on it, especially Dominion last year when he returned and faced Sonata in his first match back for the world title. I thought they should have just pulled the trigger and had him beat Sonata. Would have waited. It would have been very reminiscent of when Evil turned heel in 2020 and just straight up won the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship from Tetsuya Naito. It was shocking, you know, it established a new star. They could have did the same thing with Yota Tsuji, but they didn't. And then they had him win New Japan Cup, and then he lost. It's like, y'all going, what's going on here? I don't know, but hopefully New Japan does not try and copyright strike me because I've been on this image too long.
And Gabe Kidd, and I'd like to see it continue with those guys.
Are they pushing Gabe Kidd? If they're pushing Gabe Kidd, I'm kind of happy for him.
But I'd love for some fresh new faces to get the same kind of opportunities that they have. Those fresh faces can't just come from anywhere either, which is why I suggested they come from within, specifically from the junior division.
I'm going to be fair to him and let him finish this point, but I just got finished my little rant about Hiromu Takahashi, so that I doubt it. I doubt it, Nobiak.
Hiromu Takahashi, El Desperado, and Francesco Akira are the 3 names I'm looking at right now for promotion. Hiromu and Despi are pretty obvious, I think, to everybody because they've just kind of done all they can do in that.
You know what's interesting about Desperado is that at one point, Desperado did face off for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. I believe it was Kota Ibushi's first title defense as champion was against El Desperado. And I think that might have been the last time Desperado faced off for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I think is so corny. And Hiromu, God forbid, right? God forbid you put him in the world title scene.
In that division, including winning the title multiple times over.
It's like, I think New Japan thinks their junior division is just going to go up in smoke if Hiromu leaves it.
Plus, they've proved on the few occasions that they've been given matches with heavyweights that they can hang at that level because...
Oh, they sure can. There's no doubts in my mind.
Francesco Akira, on the other hand, is an outside pick and not one that many people would suggest.
I wouldn't say he's an outside pick. He's been in New Japan for, what, 3 years? I think Francesco came in 2021 or 2022. He's been in New Japan for 2-3 years now. I wouldn't say he's an outside pick. If anything, I was very impressed when I first saw Francesco Akira come into New Japan. I'm not opposed to that. If anything, I would keep Francesco in the junior division and have him win the junior heavyweight championship first. Because Francesco is a former junior heavyweight tag team champion, but he's never touched the junior heavyweight championship itself. I would have him win the junior heavyweight championship. That way he can actually say he has that under his belt. And then send them to like the world title picture, the never openweight title picture. I wouldn't go with Francesco. If I could sub somebody in for him, I would sub in Kevin Knight. I know Kevin Knight really isn't well, respectfully, I guess Kevin Knight isn't former junior champion either. So if we're going to be fair here, let's just talk about junior champions. We already said Hiromu. We already said Despi. Taiji Shimori? Maybe Taiji Shimori?
Which I do understand. There are plenty of aspects of his game that aren't totally there yet and still require that extra bit of polish. But I think just given what he's shown in the last year or so, he can be a great depth piece for the heavyweight division while he continues to develop. Again though, I understand people going against this and just wanting him to kind of stay in the juniors division while he develops because he can be one of the true faces of it when Hiromu and Despi move up. But I did want to throw him in here as a third option. Overall, I think the junior division would be just fine with, at minimum, the big 2 moving on.
Yes, the junior division, please tell New Japan this in Japanese so they understand you. The junior division will be fine without Hiromu in it. I promise you, if Hiromu does not win a 5th Best of the Super Juniors, your fan base isn't going to wrap up their cars and leave and never come back. I promise you, New Japan. I promise you, Hiromu can move up and you'll be fine.
You have guys like Akira, Master Wato, Kosei Fujita, Doki, and even Kevin Knight that are ready to take over. Another aspect of building up talent from within, however, is to make certain guys bigger parts of the promotion. A great example of this is Zack Sabre Jr. Why isn't he getting all these big spotlights and these big main events when he's one of the best they've got?
Zack Sabre Jr. has been in New Japan for so long, too. Like, I swear to God, I think he's been in New Japan since 2015, I think. 2015, 2016. He's contended for the world title, but never won it. And I'm not like lobbying, like, yo, he needs to win the world title on the next show or nothing like that. But bro hasn't even been, like, IC champion when that was a thing. Has he been never champion? I'm going to say he probably was never champion at some point. I don't know. Zack Sabre Jr. is a weird one. It's like they put him in the world title picture, but they don't trust him enough to win it, which I find always interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to him actually winning the world title at some point, or winning like the global championship at some point, seeing how he does with that run. But I never know.
Another guy who's one of the best they've got, Shingo Takagi. I mean, same question.
Yep, same thing about Shingo. Shingo actually had a world title. Like I said, I think the 2 times he's been champion, it's like they put it on him because they didn't know. Shingo was like their placeholder champion every single time he's been champion. He was the guy who was champion until the guy they really wanted champion was ready, which was Okada or Ospreay. So maybe give him a real world title reign this time.
It's another big thing that New Japan does that makes people so uninterested in what they have going on. People want to see good wrestlers competing at the top of the card, not whatever they've got going on right now.
Exactly. So get Evil out of that shit.
There is no reason that David Finlay, a bad wrestler, should be getting forced.
I wouldn't call David Finlay a bad wrestler. But you want to know what is bad? The fact that once he joined the Bullet Club, you want to know what happened to his moveset? Womp womp. Like I said, every single time someone joins the Bullet Club or House of Torture, because he was not, I would not say David Finlay was a bad wrestler before the Bullet Club. When he was teaming with Juice Robinson, I thought David Finlay was decent. On his best day, probably really good. On his best, because, Lord Jesus, think about his matches with Jay White, Will Ospreay. I know we're talking about like top tier wrestlers here, but he's had some damn good matches in New Japan. So I would not call David Finlay a bad wrestler. I think he's just bad now, and that's because of how New Japan books him.
Forced into big spot after big spot over those guys.
Also, David Finlay was basically their shoe-in for Jay White. The second Jay White left is when David Finlay came in. They gave him Jay White's entire look. They might as well gave him Jay White's entrance and his moveset too.
You have
Thankfully, he's starting to... Oh, Lord, not Evil.
Evil, main eventing one of your biggest shows of the year.
Let me just say this. I used to be a big fan of Evil when he was in LIJ. Once he turned heel and joined the Bullet Club, that was the downfall of not only Evil, but New Japan as a product. So I almost resent Evil now because he straight up... I made a video, I did a podcast 3 years ago called How Evil Killed New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's no longer up anymore. But I remember I got ratioed on Twitter for it. But now I feel like more than ever, it kind of just rings true, right? Who's laughing now?
Over, I don't know, maybe heavyweight desperado? You draw interest in your promotion by promoting interesting wrestlers. You don't put Evil in title match after title match just because the guy carries around a can of black spray paint. That's why I say they shoot themselves in the...
Is that why the World Heavyweight Championship looked black? Because I was wondering why on Dynamite, the world title looked black. I'm like, why is the title black? Why does it look darker? Okay, so that makes sense. See, Evil's over here ruining shit like he always does. Ruining the way their title looks.
Because they're...
Get Evil's ass out of here.
Just not putting the right guys in those spots, even if we all think it's obvious. New Japan used to be the home of the best pro wrestling in the world. But the fact that they avoid good matches so often has basically...
New Japan is like immune to wanting to book good matches now, and it's ridiculous to see. Back in my day, when Kenny Omega was a part of the roster, they didn't have this shit. They had 5-star bangers every pay-per-view. Once Kenny Omega left, shit went downhill, son. No, it wasn't after Kenny left. It was after well, I guess it really went downhill once Kenny left. But no. It went downhill after Evil won the title, like I said.
Killed that moniker dead.
Dominion 2020, once COVID hit, that's when they just started booking like shit.
Speaking of Evil, though, I think it's time we bring up another very easy way to improve New Japan.
Get rid of it.
I think we should just get rid of the House of Torture.
Yup. That's my guy right there.
House of Torture match. You should basically... And it's
did I skip forward? I think I skipped forward by accident. Oh, here it is. All right.
to just get rid of the House of Torture.
Hell yeah.
For good. This group has been infecting New Japan matches with their lazily put together interference for far too long, and it's about time we cut that out. It's gotten to the point where if you watch a House of Torture match, you should basically expect the ref to go down within the first 5 minutes, which is just bad. There's no other way to put that. I also won't accept defenders of the group saying, they get heat, they're over in Japan.
Bro, anybody who says they get heat, just immediately block them out and just pretend like you're listening to, what's the like Charlie Brown the teacher. That's what I hear when people say, oh, they get heat, like shut the fuck up.
Either because
they get heat, but are you watching their matches? Do you see how bad they are? Do you see how it detracts away from the good product that we used to have?
Truth be told, I couldn't give a fuck about that even if it was true, which it isn't. A Japanese fan ran a poll earlier this week that asked which match should main event Dominion, and the Best of the Super Juniors finals won in a...
God damn, 80% is insane. See, that goes to show you how much people like Evil. That goes to show you. And mind you, John Moxley is involved in that match. He's the world champion. That match has John Moxley in it, and they would rather see the BOSJ finals because they don't like Evil that much. Not because they don't care about John Moxley, because John Moxley's very over in Japan. They just fucking detest Evil. And New Japan is so adamant on shoving Evil down our throats. I swear to God, if Evil wins, I don't even know why I'm still subscribed to NJPW World, but I'm damn sure going to make sure I unsubscribe if he wins. Like, I swear to God, bro.
Landslide over Mox versus Evil. It's time for anyone...
I don't want to see Evil involved at Forbidden Door. In no way, shape, or form. I don't want to see him in the title match. I don't want to see him in a tag match. I don't want to see him in a house. I don't want to see him with a mouse. I don't want to see him there. I don't want to see him anywhere. Don't get Evil my AEW, bro. If Evil came into AEW, I would turn that shit off so quick. I already don't watch AEW as it is. I would turn that shit off so quickly if I heard Evil's theme song, man. And it sucks because I like Evil's theme song. I just don't like Evil.
Pretending that Japanese fans love Evil to just stop because it's over. House of Torture bullshit isn't heat. It's not.
Anybody, I am very much under the impression that anybody who likes Evil is just a contrarian. Because what is there to like about Evil? I think you're just being a contrarian. I think you just want to be on the other side of the fence.
A good heel.
Give me a good argument, please. Someone in the comment section actually likes Evil. Give me a good argument, please.
It just makes anyone watching
watch and read the comments to see if anybody actually argues this point. I bet you nobody in the comment section is going to argue that.
Japan want to avoid any match that they're involved in. Pack the whole group up, send them off to other factions, and hopefully we don't
pack them up and just send them away, period.
Don't have to see anything like this again for a while. My next idea for how to save New Japan is a complicated one, and one that won't be very simple to put into action, but I think it's time we all start pointing the finger at Gato.
Yes, it's... Yeah, I mean, Gato's the one who keeps booking this Bullet Club bullshit. Get rid of Gato. Get rid of him. He's been booking New Japan for long enough. It's time to get some new eyes on the product. It's time to get some new flavor into the Kool-Aid. It's time to get some new eyes on the vision. It's time to get somebody new in the book. Get Gato out of there.
For anyone
I don't care how long he's been doing New Japan, get him out of there.
Who doesn't know,
because he's ruined the product. He has slowly but surely ruined the product. Get him out of there.
Gato is the booker of New Japan and has been for over a decade now. Obviously, he's had some very high highs during that time, but right now...
Gato's the equivalent to how Vince has been booking basically well after 2010. Maybe 2016. Because I think the product really went downhill after 2017.
He's at his lowest low as a creative. There's nothing inspiring about New Japan right now, and like I said earlier, they just always seem to get in their own way. The best example of that to me is the way last year's G1, G133, played out. In Block A, you had all of the young guys, including the big three.
That shit pissed me off so much, bro. Let him finish.
And none of them advanced out. Instead, Hikuleo got the nod, and he was having some of the worst matches of that block alongside Chase Owens, which is crazy because it's Chase Owens. It's moments like that where the result just seems so obvious and seems like everyone knows the right answer, except for Gato. That makes me think that he's lost the plot. It's worth mentioning too, he let Kazuchika Okada leave with barely a real send-off. The one he got was as thrown together as it could have been, which is crazy given the fact that he's been the face of the company.
Yeah, he was just being petty. That's all it was. He sent Okada off with such a lame send-off because he was mad he didn't want to stay. He was being petty.
For years and years and years. He had Ospreay pin Shota Umino in Shota's star-making performance just so he could lose to David Finlay on the way out. Going back even further, he had Jay White put over Hikuleo on his way out. All of this stuff is on Gedo and on Gedo alone. And really all of this video is because at the end of the day, he's the booker. Even if so many Puro purists think otherwise, Tony
don't tell the people on Reddit this.
Khan is not booking the show. It's Gedo, and he deserves the criticism.
Oh yeah, one thing you'll hear a lot of from New Japan fans is how AEW basically ruined New Japan. You're going to hear that sentiment a lot if you talk to a New Japan or a Puro fan. You will find that most of them hate AEW because they believe that AEW is the sole reason New Japan's product sucks now or is going downhill. And there is a little bit of truth to that because once AEW came into fray, a lot of the New Japan stars we knew and loved went to AEW. And then once AEW started pairing off with New Japan, the product really didn't get too much better. If anything, they began poaching New Japan's talent after the partnership. So, now we're also the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is signed to New Japan. We don't really, it's signed to AEW. How often do you see Jon Moxley on New Japan since he's been World Champion? So there's reason for New Japan fans to not like AEW. I'm not going to say they don't have entire reasons, but just be prepared. If you get into a conversation with them, they will tell you AEW ruined the entire product
for it. So the fix to the issue
yeah, they'll blame Tony Khan before they blame Gedo, which no, it's Ghetto's fault.
To me is, like I said, a very complicated one, but I think it's time to hand over the pen to a fresh face. I don't know who in the company could take over that spot. It's no easy
take the risk. Take the risk on anybody. Take the risk on anybody, man, at this point.
Task to handle, but it needs to happen. There's just been too many mistakes and too many missed opportunities piled on top of one another, just one after the other, to make me feel otherwise. The last suggestion I want to give is actually some fantasy booking. I'm not usually one to delve into that sort of thing, but I think there's one very simple story that's waiting to be told that would fix a lot of the issues I mentioned in this video in one fell swoop. So let's get into it. I think Shota Umino, who lost a match versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP World Title at Resurgence last week, should fight his way through the G1 Climax 34, win, and go on to face Moxley at the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom 19.
Wait a minute, hold on, he's actually cooking here.
And there, he should win the IWGP World Champion.
Noviak, hold on. I like this guy.
Now, to start, I know what people were saying about Moxley winning the belt to begin with, and a part of me understands where they were coming from. But this...
What if I did all that and he's part of the group of New Japan guys that don't like me? Because there's a lot of Puro guys that don't like Sooplex. Let me tell you that.
Exactly.
Because they're much like a lot of the AEW fans. A lot of New Japan fans say, "Oh, you turned your back on New Japan." So there's some New Japan guys that don't like me anymore. Maybe he's one of them.
Exact scenario is why I don't have a problem with it. Well, actually, not just that exact scenario, because I actually think it was an inspired choice given where the belt was at that moment. I know fans love Tetsuya Naito, and I do too.
Yeah, I like Tetsuya Naito too, but bro's washed, and it's time for him to all right, let me not say it. Let me not do Naito like that. Let me not do Naito dirty. Naito's great. He's done great work for New Japan, but I'm so sick and tired of people saying, "Oh, one more run, one more G1 Climax win." I hear this every year. Motherfuckers want Naito to win the G1 and have his moment in Wrestle Kingdom. You got it last year. That's it. That's it. He got his moment. He got his G1 win. That's it. Let Naito ride into the sunset now. No more Naito runs. No more. No mas. He's 40 years old. He's low-key getting washed now. Not quite Tanahashi washed, but he's getting there. Let my man enjoy his semi-retirement. Let my man enjoy the mid-card, all right? Before both his knees go out like Tanahashi's did.
Too, but we have to be honest about the way his body was holding up in those championship matches.
Thank God he's on point. I don't think fans actually want Naito to win and actually stay healthy. Because I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Naito, he ain't washed yet, but he's getting there. And he's only getting there because y'all keep wanting him to be in this damn main event.
matches. It was becoming real clear, real fast, that his win at the Tokyo Dome was the moment of it all, and whatever came after was...
I will argue that his moment was at Wrestle Kingdom 14, and he could have just rode off into the sunset then, but no. We need to have one more Naito run. Mind you, we got 2 more Naito title runs after he beat Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 14. So, 2 more is enough.
Was whatever came after.
Also, don't sit here and say, we want new stars, but then you keep on wanting Naito to win the G1 Climax. That's counterproductive.
So when given the chance, pivoting to an exciting outside talent who clearly has a ton of respect for New Japan is a great idea. Props to Gedo for that one. The part of this I really take umbrage with, though, is the way that some fans have reacted to the belt being defended in AEW. I can understand the stuff with Moxley's win, sure, but saying a single match with Powerhouse Hobbs devalues the title or that it made no sense was just truly baffling.
How? How so?
Especially given the fact that they explained why it was happening on TV by saying Don Callis called in a few favors he had left over from putting together the Jericho Omega match. What makes it even more annoying is when the New Japan wrestlers themselves echo these same sentiments in a work shoot kind of way in backstage segments and the like. Ignoring the fact that work shoots are done to death and fucking stink at this point, this just comes off as lame. These guys are...
It is. The work shoots try so hard to make you or convince people that this AEW partnership is a good thing, and that Jon Moxley being the champion is a good thing, and that the title being defended over there is a good thing. They try to convince you guys very hard about that.
Are supposed to be
I'm not saying it's not, but they campaign that shit very heavy.
Fighters in the pro wrestling company, and they're crying about the office being okay with the booking of a match. What they should be saying is, I want to beat Jon Moxley because I want to bring our title back home. It should be centered around the wrestling and the wrestling matches, not this dork shit. Which leads right back to the Shota Mox story. That should be a major part of it. While I wish they would have held off their one-on-one match until next year's Wrestle Kingdom, I think their match at Resurgence can play a big part in this story. Shota can say he failed to bring the belt back to New Japan and that he wants to redeem himself for it. But getting another match with Mox after losing is something that Mox isn't going to do because his student failed the final test he had put in front of him, which leaves Shota Umino only one route back to the World Championship, the G1 Climax.
And watch they have Evil in that shit. Let me not jinx it.
Obvious.
Or what they'll do is they'll have Yoda Tsuji win it, go to Wrestle Kingdom, and then lose again. Because they love doing that. They love having Yoda Tsuji go to the main event and lose.
This should be full of drama. He should lose a few matches. He should be on the brink of elimination. But in the end, he should get it done. If we're booking all the way to the finals as well, I personally would have Shota face Zack Sabre Jr. here. Mostly because...
I would do Shota versus Renda Rita or Yoda Tsuji. But I'll take Shota and Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack has been saying he doesn't even want to sniff a world title shot without winning the G1 because he feels that that's the only real way to earn his shot. And
that's actually a respectable take.
Those two stories clashing should provide a really, really nice groundwork for what should be a really heated match. Both guys would be feasible winners too, which makes it even better because the result gets a little bit more foggy. Ultimately though, Shota should overcome Zack, which would be an important moment in his road to the Dome because Zack is such an important wrestler in New Japan. Zack is a top guy and Shota needs to knock those guys down, which is exactly where I want him to go post G1. Based on the last few years, it's likely that he'd put his G1 prize on the line, which is where I'd have him face a Tetsuya Naito, a Hiroshi Tanahashi, or even a Shingo Takagi. I know I said earlier that both Naito and Tanahashi were cooked nowadays, but that doesn't mean Shota getting the win off of one of these legends would mean any less.
Oh yeah, no, if Shota beat like a Tetsuya Naito in the finals, that's a big deal.
Any of those choices could make it feel like a true passing of the torch moment, but nobody could do it better than Tanahashi when it comes to Shota Umino.
That is very true because Shota Umino takes so much of Tanahashi's like aesthetic that match actually will feel like a true passing of the torch. So I agree with Noviak there.
which is who I'd have him face. Shota has long been compared to Tanahashi as a potential ace figure down the line, which is a comp I agree with. Not because of the in-ring necessarily, but just because of the intangibles that they both share. So that moment where he overtakes him and passes him up as the new ace would be a huge moment. All of this would of course culminate in a Tokyo Dome match where the teacher, Jon Moxley, would face his young boy.
I would be absolutely shocked, but on cloud nine if they actually followed through with Jon Moxley versus Shota Umino in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 19. I would be shocked, but I would be ecstatic and overjoyed if they actually did that match, because I've been following Jon Moxley and Shota Umino's relationship since it started in 2019 on the very first day of G1 Climax 29. I've been following it ever since that point, so trust me when I say I'll be there.
Shota Umino once again. Where, like I said earlier, Shota Umino overcomes the teacher, passes his final
yeah, if we get all the way to Wrestle Kingdom and Jon Moxley wins, I would literally just throw my computer. I would be so fucking angry.
Test and wins the IWGP champ.
If there's any wrestler I am passionate about in New Japan and have been passionate about since he's debuted, it's Shota Umino, and that passion will always stay with me.
Championship, becoming the first of his generation to accomplish this. This would give New Japan an exciting young talent to bear the...
Man, listen, if Shota won in that way that you just booked it, I will be watching New Japan again without question. Just as long as Evil doesn't beat him for the title.
Flag and lead the way in 2025 and provide a really compelling and engaging story for fans to sink their teeth into in 2024. At some point, they have to make the Musketeers branding they gave these guys make sense, and this is a great way to do it for Shota. Solidify one of them for years to come and truly build a new star to lead you into the future, to lead New Japan back to the glory it once had.
Hey, that was a good video. I enjoyed that. So that was It's Noviak, How to Save New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think he had a good little map. A lot of the ideas he had, we already shared. I agree with really just about all of this video. All of it. New Japan Pro Wrestling is in a spot right now where they need to start actually building up newer stars that they already have and already can do, but they just don't. They just don't. And until they actually start using the stars that they have and building them into main eventers and stop relying back on the cheap, underhanded bullshit of Bullet Club and House of Torture as if that's going to bring in newer fans, I doubt New Japan's ever going to get back to the glory days. Actually, I think the glory days of New Japan is basically over. I don't think they're ever going to get to the height of popularity that they were at in 2018. I don't think it's ever happening again. At least in North America, that's not ever happening again. I think those days are over. The most American viewership they will get is when they have Jon Moxley on, because you'll have AEW fans that linger over. You'll have some WWE fans that linger over. But largely, I think the New Japan wave has seeped into AEW now. And I think this is a good way to save New Japan for the pure fans that watch. This is a good way to save New Japan for the hardcore Japanese fans that live overseas in Japan, where, you know, it's native to them. As far as saving it for the American crowd, not too sure. But I enjoyed this video overall. Everyone give Noviak a follow because I like that video, and I think he's going to develop into a very good Japanese wrestling content creator, and Lord knows New Japan needs more of them. All right, guys, that's the video. That's my talk piece. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any videos you saw that you guys want me to check out in the next week, comment it down below or email me soplexfm@gmail.com. Just send it to that email. I'll see if I can check it out. All right. Love you guys. Be safe. Keep it easy. Bye.